Next up, we have posability. Ooh, yes. Articulation. We've got a lot to go over, so let's go ahead and, go over it. We're going to take a look at, well, I guess would be Kevin, the head, of course. Um, for the jaw, we have pretty much an articulated jaw. We have ball joint here. Moves pretty well, I have to say, although a little too well. I don't know why it goes side to side and twists like you. That's not how it. I mean, it's kind of how a jaw functions. It's able to go not just up and down, but also kind of side to side. But realistically, you just need this. So yeah, it's on a ball joint. The tongue. Initially, I thought it moved, but it doesn't. It's big enough for a peg, but there is no peg. That is obviously just glued in. Now let's talk about the head. There, at first, I thought it didn't move at the base of the head and was only movable here, but there's actually a mild ball joint right where the head plugs into the first neck segment. And then from there you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 segments. So that's 11 segments per neck, I do believe, because they're all about the same length. So that's 11 segments. So just for like wide shots, as far as like the neck goes, you can move back about this far. Yeah, back about this far. Shimmying it all the way down about this. Oh crap! This far down, and you can go left, can go right, and pretty much do all the stuff you need a Ghidorah head to do. And all the others can do the same exact thing, have the same range of motion, and yeah, basically have that times 3. So there's pretty much no shortage when it comes to the amount of posability on the necks. For the waist, moving Ghidorah's heads up, we actually do have a bit of a ball joint. However, you don't get too much range out of it. You can get a little mild up and down and a little side to side. There's more of a swivel than anything, but there's no like hunch. So I mean, kind of get a little rocker, but it's nothing you should be like really pushing. For the legs, you can get a little up and down, little rotation, but it's super strict. The knee is really where it's at when it comes to the movement. So you can kind of bend in about that far, bend out about that far. In the foot, you can kind of like shimmy it back and forth, get a decent mild pivot, and it's basically rotation. And while even though Ghidorah never really used his legs as much, say like the MonsterVerse Ghidorah does, I honestly have to say that I get the earlier figures, but they kind of should have gave us like a bit more posability. Like I would say, do what NECA did and just give us like pretty much one that acts like a disc, like going inside the socket and rearranging it. For the wings, not too much movement. We can kind of go in and out like this, and we have a bit of in and out as well, pushing it as far as you can go and go in about that far and flap outwards about that far, although you do have to kind of like fiddle with the hinge. And lastly, we're going to take a look at the tails, and we count, well, there's 2 tails, of course, and each of them are filled to the brim with segments. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 segments. I may have missed one, but 16 segments per tail. And this is, again, a long prehensile tail. So you'll be able to get like these things holding great poses, even kind of like wrapping them around each other, which I think is absolutely amazing. So as far as the articulation goes, not to the accessories just yet, just in a sec, the articulation is rock solid. I have to give Bandai some props to this. When they were really in the effort of making some good articulated Godzilla figures, they were putting out some really good, highly articulated Godzilla figures. And this Ghidorah really showcases just how well they really did. with the exception of the legs, which I think could be a little bit better. But hey, it's like over a decade old, so I'll give it a pass. Now, in the way of accessories, we have the gravity beams. Honestly, I find it so surreal that I'm actually able to hold the gravity beams because, again, this figure is like so highly sought after, and seen so many photos of this thing, and like I wanted it for years, but I'm finally holding it. The only downside is that there's no stands with this one because the original did come with stands. Mine did not because the original seller that I bought this from apparently bought this used. So someone bought it used, and then I bought this used. So it's a miracle that's even survived all of the years. Anyway, how you attach the beams? Essentially, it would have been like a Tamashi stand. I'm not sure what version of the stand it is, but whatever. Now, how you peg it in, well, there's really no way to peg it in, but essentially what you would do is you take the stands, right? And they have these little, not clamps, but little things that, like, pretty much hold the beam on. So, let's say my fist is the beam, and this would be the cradle. It cradles. It cradles the beam. And from what I hear, it's a balancing act, so pretty much speaking, there's no way to actually like hold the beam in, although that looks already cool as it already is. But unfortunately, I can't really hold it up without the beams, so I don't really display it with the beams. However, if you do need a custom stand, link in the description on how to make your own custom stand. It's a bit older of a video, I think back in 2021 or 2, but it's essentially just of how to make your own stand. But discussing like the sculpted details on them, they actually do feature, I do believe, the same mold, but modified each and every time. Because we see like here, we have like a bit of the same kind of webbing. You see like these two have like identical holes, but this one has like an extra piece, and this one has like a different piece there, and like they're the same exact length. I do believe the same exact length. Yeah, they do. And they all taper off almost identically, except this one has like a larger one back here. This one has the same thing but a bit smaller, and this one only has the two of them that end off the beam. So they are wait, hold up. Yeah, they do come. They are different, but they look identical. So there's really like no, this one belongs with this head, this one belongs with that head, this one belongs with that head. You really just that's not really what it's here. You can pretty much mix and match. You don't really have to worry about anything. But I do like, however, is that it's molded in a translucent yellow plastic with some darker yellows to lighter yellows, giving it a much more gradient-like effect, and it's very translucent. The one thing I was not expecting is just how bendy these things are. I thought these things were going to be like hard, rigid plastic, but no. These are actually very soft plastic, but I still wouldn't be opposed to bending this any more than it already is bent. So for some size comparisons, here he is next to some of NECA's Heisei Godzillas with the 94 and the 89, which, as far as like the 89 scaling, this isn't the worst. I feel like the 89 should be, well, actually, I think he's supposed to be a little shorter than he is right now, like as far as sheer scale goes. But this isn't really a bad setup. In fact, I kind of like it. And because this is the closest thing I have to a 91 Godzilla, I'm probably going to be displaying with him. Next, for some more size comparisons, here he is compared to what was my two largest King Ghidorahs at the time, prior to a few days ago, featuring the Mezco King Ghidorah from the Round 2 set from Destroy All Monsters, and here we have the Bandai Creation Bandai America King Ghidorah from 2001. And as you can see, this is a huge step up in quality from what I really needed. Because these two, they did their job on Tabagus. This gets the job scoringly awesome. Like, there's no contest. And I also have to say, right now, I'm honestly kind of considering it's making maybe like these two. No, I don't think that'll actually happen. And for some more size comparisons, pulling my camera a bit more out, here he is compared to some other King Ghidorahs in my collection with the SDCC exclusive Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah set, battle box set, which is ironic because I gave him, I kind of heckled him for not being the 91 Ghidorah. Now I have the 91 Ghidorah. The U2's King Ghidorah, which is still up on their website, order while you still can, and the bootleg Panic and Destruction 4-pack Godzilla King Ghidorah figure. And this was my first one, and now look where we're at. This is the perk of being a collector. It's kind of ironic that he's also bigger than all three of them combined. And here he is next to some other Ghidorah figures featuring the Deformation King, King Ghidorah from Godzilla King of the Monsters, and the tiny little blind bag Bandai mini King Ghidorah, which 91 to 91, huh? And here he is compared to all my other SH MonsterArts figures featuring 2001. 2001. This is 2001. I was looking at him when I pointed at him. 2001 Godzilla from Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah Giant Monster All Attack, aka GMK. Godzilla vs. Kong, and Godzilla Singular Point Godzilla Ultima. And as you can see, he towers over all of them. The Ultima's tail kind of outclasses everyone.